Let's begin with phase one.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
We heard what you want to do. Now we'll tell you what's best for you. That's the story from the editorial board.
We will shut you down. We will cite you.
A little tip for the working man. Your employers are all our friends. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. We'd like to save the world when it's under attack. But how you gonna pay for that?
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you.
When people want proof that the world ain't flat, we'll just give them their money back. Oh yeah! That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board.
That's correct.
Hey everybody, today's show's just Hey everybody, today's show's just moments away. Hang tight, we'll get started.
So come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, yeah, come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, let's keep everybody safe and stay home, Chicago. Right, Stubbs? Yeah. 'Cause 2 doubles to 4 and 3 doubles to 6.
That's correct.
Before you even know it, you made everybody sick. So come on, baby, you don't need to go. Oh no, let's keep everybody safe and stay home, Chicago.
I'm not a doctor.
Please.
Well, it's Tuesday, guys. Ben can't find his life at the moment.
Where's my book?
He keeps sitting down, ready to go, and then he leaves and walks away again.
I know, man.
We just got to start, okay, dude?
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet.
That's correct.
Thank you, Robert Mueller.
Live stream chat, how's it going? Yes, we're still doing requests for Song of the Day. So if you're listening at the moment, looks like there's 11 people viewing at the moment. Oh, 12. We just went up one. So if somebody could please give us a Song of the Day for Ben to just butcher the hell out of. Prove me wrong, Ben. Prove me wrong. Give us a Song of the Day. I'm going to read the sponsors, and hopefully by the time we're done reading the sponsors, we'll have a request. So let's get going. Your Ben Joravsky Show for Tuesday. What the hell is today? May 12th.
Wow.
Is just moments away. But before we do this, let's thank the following unions for sponsoring this program. Unions like the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 in District 8. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9. Oh, wait. There we go. The International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. And of course, today's Ben Joravsky Show for Tuesday, May 12th is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. All right, we're going to stall a little bit so someone can get a song of the day in. Guys, we got 14 people watching. Oh, 13. Someone just went away. What happened? And all of that, I made someone tune out? Sorry. So get a song of the day. Ben, how we feeling today?
Feeling good. I got a song. I mean, I can do a song.
That's so April 2020. This is May 2020. We do song of the day request. So you watch that Bulls thing?
Yeah, but we're not allowed to talk about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But can I do my song, please?
Requested a SOTD. How about? Oh no, you can't do one. We got a song of the day. KMA Barry's the man here. KMA has a request for our song of the day.
Okay.
KMA's song of the day request is "Sky High" by Jigsaw. I've never heard that song.
Well, I know the cover by Dionne Warwick.
We'll take it.
I just made that up. Sky high pilot, sky pilot. How high can you fly? Why? You'll never reach the sky.
What if we just had Ben sing for the entire 2 hours?
That's Eric Burden in War. Sky pilot, sky pilot.
KMA, was that the song you're talking about?
Nope. I'm surprised nobody gave a Little Richard song. Little Richard died this weekend. Tutti frutti, woo! All right, that's what I was gonna say.
Listeners, how lucky are you today? 2 songs of the day? Whoa! The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. Tutti Frutti. It is Tuesday, May 12th. And live from Ben's attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, Chicago Reader's music genius, Leor Galil. And now your host, far from music genius, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Bill Maher Said It Tuesday. And here's why. Great. You have a good weekend, D?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, usually, well, at least you're honest. I appreciate honesty.
Show of hands. Who had a good weekend, huh? Oh, wait, no hands.
I realize it's hard to have a good weekend in the middle of a pandemic, but you know what? I saw Friday After Next.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know,
the worst of the Friday trilogy.
I was going to say, it was not that good, to put it mildly. Ice Cube, sorry, I see. I love the first two, but negatory.
But now you can say you've saw the Friday trilogy.
That is correct. That's why I did it. Dennis was the one.
That's correct.
You got to see all 3 of them.
I said you just got to see those two, the second one.
The second one is really funny. I love this. The first one is my favorite. The second one is my second favorite. And the third one, guys, shouldn't have made it. All right? So enough of that. Saw episodes 7 and 8 of The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary on ESPN. One more time, thank you, Frank, listener Frank, who instructed me on how to watch it. And I've been dutifully watching it ever since. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's like crack. And every week.
Frank is your life producer. I'm just your show producer.
Yeah. Did you say life? L-I-F-E?
Yeah.
Frank is the fact checker. Frank gives me advice on how to watch TV shows, and I can't wait till we're back in the studio and Frank can make a return visit. And I can't wait to get back to the hideout with Maya. We haven't done a First Tuesday since God knows when, and we'll get back to it one of these days, and Frank will be there at the audience as well. Anyway.
Who are you thinking of for a first guest for the First Tuesday back? I know
would
that's
love
a
to
loaded question.
Bring on Kim Fox. Kim Fox was a delightful interview back in the old days, back at the studio. Remember that interview, D? How could you forget that interview?
Oh, yeah. When she said bullshit.
Yeah, she got carried away. Is there something about that little studio? It could be the water and the water fountain at the Sun-Times. Who knows? But everybody gets a potty mouth when they walk into that studio.
Who was your, did you guys have a guest scheduled for your First Tuesday show before, the world went to hell?
We had talked about having Kim Fox on, but we hadn't scheduled a guest. No, so no, we're hanging.
Well, I say you start it off with a bang and get Raylo on first Tuesday.
Ray Lopez.
Yeah.
Oh, I know he would come on.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
By the way, Ray Lopez is a star. He's the alderman for the 15th Ward. He's not afraid to defy Lori Lightfoot and has discovered a new career for himself as a independent, outspoken, opponent of Lori Lightfoot, which is interesting because during the Rahm years, he generally went along with Rahm. And he's sort of the star of Dave Glowatz's shows. Dave Glowatz does a great job coming on. He has the recordings of the various things that the aldermen say, and Ray Lowe is sort of a star of that. So yeah, maybe that could be a good idea. Anyway, so this weekend saw The Last Dance, but as you know, Dennis has a rigid rule.
Yes, I do.
A fundamental rule. Okay,
And you're welcome, political
which
lovers.
we're not to violate in any way. Now, we are allowed, may I just say this, to violate it. Every Wednesday, we do an interview with somebody about The Last Dance. And Dennis says, okay, I'll let you do that. So last week we had Stacey Davis Gates talk about The Last Dance.
That's correct.
Growing up in Indiana playing basketball and the impact it had on her as a teenager in the 90s. Before that, we had Steve James, Hoop Dream fame, talk about Last Dance and the impact of basketball. And then Kevin Blackistone, my dear friend, we talked about basketball at the Bulls games back before Jordan came in Jordan's rookie year.
And that's where you get your fill on The Last Dance,
Yes.
your sports fill, all right? We try not to do sports content on this program,
Yes.
all right? We got to look out for our political news junkies out there, you know what I mean? So, as a producer, it is my duty to make sure that we do not talk about The Last Dance on this program.
And then this week, I just say Craig Hodges will be coming on. He used to play for the Bulls. And he perhaps... he was Colin Kaepernick before Colin Kaepernick, for some of you youngsters out there who don't know Craig Hodges. But
He was Colin Kaepernick before social media.
Yes, he was blacklisted for his political views. This is me speaking. This is my humble opinion. And so he'll be on. He played for the Bulls with Michael Jordan in the first two championships. It'll be interesting what he has to say on that. But after that, no Bulls talk. So I'm not going to tell you my thoughts about this Sunday show because Dennis says it. Oh, by the way, D, I don't know if I told you this.
What's that?
But my wife made some beef stroganoff. Delicious beef stroganoff. You want to go downstairs and take a look at that?
No. I'm not falling for this one, all right? Last week you tried doing this. He said something about Baked Alaska.
Yeah.
Still don't know what Baked Alaska is, but there was nothing down there. I have a feeling you were talking about sports. Not this time,
No.
dude. I'm staying right here.
No. In fact, I have something I want to say about the euro versus the dollar and international monetary policy. But yeah, you might. The beef stroganoff's next to the Mountain Dew downstairs on the counter.
Wait, Mountain Dew? Oh, my God. You know the way to this hillbilly's heart. I love Mountain Dew. I'm right down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right there. Yeah, just go down. Right next to it.
Is there Mountain Dew out there?
Yeah. See it? Yeah, go. You have to go a little further, D. All right, he's gone. Let me tell you something about the game. Episode 7 and 8 of The Last Dance. They talked about the 1994 season when Michael Jordan was not there and the Bulls made it to the playoffs against the New York Knicks and went to game. They lost in 7. But what they did not mention, and every Bulls fan from the 90s can tell you this, unforgivable for not mentioning this, Hugh Holland's call. He called a foul on Scottie Pippen with about 1.8 seconds. That's what gave the Knicks the game. That's what gave the Knicks that series. The Bulls would have probably gone on to the finals had Hugh Hollins not made that call. It's absolutely unforgivable. I love The Last Dance. I watch it obsessively. It's like crack for this poor, broken-hearted Bulls fan whose season was taken away. But it's unforgivable that mentioned Hugh Hollins and that call that he made, that phantom foul. Oh, and so the thing about the euro is that the euro is falling fast. Oh, D,
Hey, I'm back. What's up?
Did you get your Mountain Dew?
There's no Mountain Dew down there. I should have known it. You city people don't like Mountain Dew.
Anyway, enough on the Last Dance. We'll have Craig.
You were
Hodges.
talking about that?
No. I was just saying Craig Hodges will be here tomorrow. What else happened this weekend? Oh, I want to give a shout out to Mark Sims. Mark Sims, frequent guest on this show, sent me two links that were really helpful to me, got me through this weekend. Two highlights of my weekend that I'm going to talk. One was an interview on NPR, and the other one was Bill Maher link. about Tara Reid. So I'll get to, let's do the NPR one first. I want to thank.
Oh, we love NPR here on the Ben Joravsky
Well,
Show.
this is the irony, okay? It was the Terry Gross Fresh Air show, and I have been known to make fun of NPR from time to time. I find it exceedingly annoying, and I can only take about, 5-10 minutes of it at a time. But I do love Terry Gross. She does an interview show. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's called Fresh Air, and I often, many times when I'm walking at night, I fantasize about Terry Gross interviewing me on the show. And so I'll have like a fantasy interview in my head and she'll be like, Ben, that's absolutely fascinating. Because she's always like really into what the people say. That's really interesting. I'm like, well, what can I say, Terry? I'm just a fascinating, interesting guy. Tell me more about your opinions. And, well, Terry, it's funny you should say. Anyway, so I really like Terry Gross. I could do a Terry Gross interview. That's really interesting, Dr. D. That's sort of my Terry Gross interview.
Oh, great.
Anyway,
wow,
but
we'll never get an interview on this show.
no, but anyway, it wasn't even Terry Gross that did this interview. It was her substitute, Dave Davies, who's pretty good himself. And he was interviewing Molly Ball, and she is the Time national political correspondent, the national political correspondent for Time magazine. And she just wrote a biography.
What's her name? Molly Ball?
Molly Ball.
She related to Crystal Ball?
No, she's not related. I don't think so. And she's not related to the last ball, and she's not related to baseball, and she's a distant cousin of basketball. But anyway, Molly Ball, Time magazine political correspondent. She just wrote a biography of Nancy Pelosi. Babs, if you're out there, I'm going to give a little love to Nancy Pelosi. Babs is always giving me a hard time because of my love for Nancy Pelosi, the crush I have on Nancy.
Always is somehow an understatement with Babs.
And doesn't Monroe kind of like Nancy Pelosi as well? I think that Monroe has a little crush on Nancy Pelosi.
Well, I heard both of you were going to Pelosi Palooza, but it got canceled.
Pelosi Fest. So anyway, it's a fascinating interview. I urge everybody, not now, but sometime later, to listen to it, or just listen to what.
By the way, shout out to Michael Girardi, the author of the editorial board. He says, Ben hates NPR, but he loves the most NPR show on NPR.
I know. By the way, can I just give a shout out to Michael Girardi? He kind of saved our necks this weekend.
Oh, yes, he did.
Can I just tell this little story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I forget what interview we had done.
Miles.
It was Miles. It was the interview had ended. And so we do these interviews on Dennis's phone. And Dennis's phone is always running out of batteries. It's like I'm looking at the phone while we're doing the interview, and I get nervous when the battery thing goes down, and it's like, battery alert, and it's like, oh, it's at 10%. Is the phone going to die in the middle of this interview? But Dennis always assures me it's like a gas, the gas gauge in a car. No. When it gets to empty, you still got 100 more miles on it. You ever hear that one?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, but it's below, it's in the red zone. No. I know this car. You got 20 more miles on this thing. Oh my God. Anyway, so it's a similar thing. It's like a gas gauge. It's his phone. It's like, it's really low. I'm getting nervous, but Miles is on a riff. He's going great. I don't want to cut him off. So we finally get through the interview and take care, Miles. See ya. And I go, did the phone die? And Dennis at that point.
Oh, I was cursing like a sailor.
Said something nutty. Everybody thinks, oh, Dennis never swears because, he's always getting mad at me for swearing. But he may have dropped the F-bomb.
Well, it's funny. Like on Friday's show, I just admitted to the world that I'm white trash. And then on Saturday, boy, I proved it.
So, give Michael credit. He listened to the interview. And
Thanks, man.
Yeah, he really saved our necks.
Typically, when we do these bonuses, I chop off the end of the interview, chop off the front, but we were doing back-to-back ones. We did Miles and then Mike Novak. And, I forgot to chop off the end of that interview. And then, Ben, you're not too innocent on that either. You said MRF for like 4 times.
Yeah, I guess I did. Anyway, Michael Drow. Fellas, you might want to get rid of the end of that interview. Oops.
Thanks, Michael. I edited it. So there's a handful of people who heard that bonus content there. About 70 of you. So.
Yeah. No, but you're absolutely correct about me loving the most NPR. What does that say about me? I don't know. I need psychiatric care. But anyway, going back to the interview, fascinating interview with Molly Ball. She pointed out a few things about Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is an interesting combination. She grew up in Baltimore in a large Italian a Catholic family. Her father was the mayor of Baltimore, and it was basically he was a practitioner of democratic machine politics, and so she learned from the master of democratic machine politics, and. What are some of the principles that machine politicians follow? We know this if you follow Chicago politics. One, you learn how to count. So you make sure you have the votes you need to pass the legislation you want. So very important to be able to count your legislators, know which way they're going to vote. You also got to know which ones have leeway. So for instance, this is Mike Madigan's a master of this. Maybe you can't. I know you're not allowed to say anything nice about Mike.
Zoom your ass out of my face.
You're not allowed to say anything nice about Mike Madigan ever.
He's a scholar.
Yeah, but he is the maestro of the count. So, for instance, he knows he's got to give leeway to some of his caucus members who live in areas where there's a lot of Republicans, so they get to vote no on a tax hike. Let's say I'm just making this up as I go along as an example. And this is one of the reasons offered as to why Mike Madigan stifled so much progressive legislation down through the years in the General Assemblies, because he didn't want to put his caucus members at risk. The same accusation can be made against Nancy Pelosi. In fact, I believe Babs is gearing up to make that accusation, and he's absolutely correct.
He's typing as we speak.
As we speak.
And getting ready to post on our Facebook page.
And let Monroe we got to get Monroe on tomorrow to defend Nancy Pelosi.
I want a Monroe versus Babs special.
Well, when we get back to the studio, maybe we can make that happen. We had some great debates back in the studio before the pandemic hit, particularly
after the pandemic, they all suck.
Well, no, I mean, we didn't have the debates in the studio.
Oh, okay.
David Seaton versus Micah. Remember that debate? That was a great one. David Seaton, a Joe Biden Democrat, and Micah Bernie supporter.
Oh, I remember that. That was the time I became a bouncer for the Ben Joravsky show. Hey, hold on! Splitting, getting in the middle of people.
And then Troy LaRaviere versus Candace Castillo. Remember that debate? That was a great debate. And I think she was for Elizabeth Warren, he was for Bernie. Anyway, so some great debates in those days. Maybe we can get Babs versus Monroe talking about Nancy Pelosi. But she's a machine politician, so she can count votes. Never forget a favor. This is something the machine politicians, they do something for you, they never forget it. In fact, Molly Ball tells a story that Nancy Pelosi's mother kept the favor file, and it's literally they wrote down the names of all the members of their organization and all the favors they had done for them, so they would never forget them. I think Nancy Pelosi has that ability just to read. She doesn't even have to write it down. She just always remembers. Never forget a slight. This is like out of Michael Jordan. This is a sports-related thing I could say.
There was no Mountain Dew down there. Not going again.
Michael Jordan, what is a huge motivating factor in his life, or he never forgets a slight. Somebody said something nasty to him. Someone doubted him. Someone trash-talked him. He uses his motivation, and it just propels him on. And Nancy Pelosi has a lot of that in her. And then, of course, the master of leverage. When you see the other side is vulnerable, when you see the other side has sort of a split, you use that as a wedge issue to divide the Republicans from each other. When you feel that they need you for anything, you leverage that for something you can get in return. So these are just some of the tricks of the trade that Molly Ball pointed out that Nancy Pelosi learned from her father and her mother. Their mother had great political aspirations of her own. Fascinating stuff from Molly Ball, and I'm looking forward to reading her book. And then she goes on to talk about a little bit about Nancy Pelosi, the fact that from growing up in this Democratic machine household in Baltimore, she got married to a man very fabulously wealthy in San Francisco, and she became part of a very liberal San Francisco type politics. She was a contemporary of Harvey Milk. It's kind of hard to think of. Harvey Milk was killed at a relatively young age. He was in his 40s, D. And so he's just frozen in our minds as this young man, as this activist, a gay rights activist, and one of the first openly gays to get elected to public office. So it's hard to think of him as getting old. Nancy Pelosi's now 80. But she's basically Harvey Milk's age. They politically came of age at the same time in the 1970s in San Francisco, along with Dianne Feinstein. So she's very socially liberal on that front. And so she kind of marries machine tactics, with liberal practices. The part about the interview that I found most relevant was when Molly Ball starts talking about Nancy Pelosi's attitude toward Barack Obama. And this is one of my favorite themes. Nancy Pelosi, according to Molly Ball, cannot really understand Barack Obama's attitude toward Republicans. She was a little she liked Barack Obama on a personal level. I mean, how could you not? The guy's very charming. But she could not understand Barack Obama's attitude that somehow or other he believed that Republicans wanted to work with him. She always thought that was kind of naive. This notion that we just heard it in 2016 from Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. This notion that somehow or other this is bipartisan spirit in the Republican Party. It's not existent, of course. And Barack Obama preached it, and I think it was to the detriment of the Democratic Party. I really do believe it's to the detriment of the Democratic Party. And I hope at the very least at this moment we can abandon it, although the Democrats have nominated as their candidate Joe Biden, a man who seems to very much believe in it. But Nancy Pelosi didn't fall for that. She felt that Republicans were not to be trusted in any way and that they would always work against the Democrats because that's what had worked so well for them in the 20 years or so that she had been in Congress coming up to the Obama administration. So fascinating stuff about Nancy Pelosi and how she plays the game. The other thing I want to thank Mark Sims for sending to me was a link to the Bill Maher show, where Bill Maher talks about Tara Reid and her accusations of sexual assault against Joe Biden. And Dee, I sent this to you, correct? Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. I sent it. I listened to it. I said to Dee, we got to play it. And then Dennis pointed out, well, Bill Maher probably sue us because he doesn't play around.
Yeah, I'll give you a shortened version of the clip. It sounded something like this. Oh, come on, people. People.
Yeah, Bill Maher.
People.
He does a good imitation.
Okay. It's not a good impression, but it's just that he says people a lot.
No, it is a pretty good impression.
Come on, people.
Anyway, the gist of the bit, I think it's about 5 minutes long, is that he does not care about Tara Reid's accusation. He doesn't care about the accusations because, number one, beating Donald Trump is paramount. It's more important than absolutely anything else. So what Joe Biden may have done to Tara Reid 27 years ago is completely irrelevant to this absolutely important challenge that the Democrats face, and that is defeating Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a disaster. And then, in addition, he doesn't care because he's frustrated with Tara Reid. And he's particularly frustrated with her because he doesn't understand why she waited until this exact moment in political life to come forth and tell her story. Why she couldn't have told her story. He points out, he goes, I can understand why she didn't tell her story in 1993 because it takes somebody a long time to work through these kinds of offensive, like if it's true, it would take 20 years. It could take 10, 15 years to work through the assault and be able to just talk about it publicly. And I can understand that as well. But why she couldn't say it last summer when there were still, 20 Democrats running for office. And so we could have had a different nominee. I've been dealing with this one before Tara Reid. Everybody knows I was not a very huge fan of Joe Biden, to put it mildly. And I'm really frustrated with the fact that he is the nominee. I've got this bizarre Cory Booker thing, where like why couldn't we have nominated Cory Booker? I don't know where that came from. He wasn't even on my list last summer. You remember
and there's
me?
a reason. There's a reason why he wasn't on your list. Let's not forget that reason.
I know there was. Because of his stance in charter schools and
Big Pharma.
But for some reason, I don't know. He's not afraid to go after Trump. He's youthful, vigor, whatever. I don't know. I'm just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, after it's no good anymore, I'm feeling Cory Booker.
Well, I was hoping after this weekend you'd be riding with Biden, but I guess not.
No, well, I already said I'm going to vote for the guy. I got a lot of issues with him. But this is the frustrating thing. If Tara Reid had come out with her accusations last summer, I don't know if Joe Biden would be the nominee now. I do not know if that would be the case. Anyway, we're stuck with Biden. So this is what Bill Maher had to say, and I started sending it out. I was just curious. I sent it to Dennis. I sent it to a lot of Democrats, old, young, men, women, black, white, everybody. I just sent it out to a whole bunch of, hey, what do you think about this? And I had to, and by the way, I told him, your comments, I will keep your names, your identities secrets. I'm soliciting your opinion. And D, I have to tell you this, overwhelming response. They agreed with Bill Maher. Overwhelming response. Men, women, black, white, young, old, overwhelming response, D. Got to tell you that. And I was like, okay. So it's like the silent majority of Democratic voters are with Bill Maher on this thing. Anyway, what happens in the aftermath? Rose McGowan, actress and one of the leaders of the Me Too movement, came out forth, had the guts to come out with her accusations against Harvey Weinstein, sent out a tweet where she said, where we go? She talks about an encounter she had with Bill Maher on Bill Maher's show back in the 90s. What was it called, D? Politically Incorrect. Remember that show?
Yep. Yes, I do.
And where Bill Maher allegedly leaned over to her during a break in the show and said, and I'm quoting, "My parents didn't give me a good face, but they did give me a huge cock.
Oh, my God.
I could feel your hot breath on my ear." That's the end of the quote. And this is Rose McGowan. "I could feel your hot breath on my ear as an image of both your hideous face and alleged big cock flashed in my mind. Both turned my stomach. I've always wondered what you say and do to girls that aren't famous." Rose McGowan weighing in. And I'm like, could there be a worse representative of the Democrats' attitude toward Tara Reade than Bill Maher? Could there be like a worse person in the world to make this case? No response, by the way, from Bill Maher on what Rose McGowan had to say. And be interesting to see how he talks his way out of this one. We got a great show today, everybody. Leor Galil will be here. Leor, the Reader's ace music writer. Remember when he came on, D, talking about the great albums?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do when Leor Galil comes on the program. Make fun of you because you know nothing about modern music.
No, well, modern. I guess anything after 1979. Nope, never heard of it. Anyway, Leor is the Reader. I've been talking about this a lot. The Reader is going to come out with its greatest hits books. I think there's like 5 or 6 different writers are collecting their works into a greatest hits book, which the Reader will sell. We're trying to raise money. We're trying to stay afloat in this very dubious times. We've been hit hard by the pandemic, folks. We don't hide it. The Reader is really, we lost a lot of advertising because so much of our advertising comes from nightclubs and music festivals and bars and restaurants. And these are the very, of course, establishments that have been closed because of the pandemic. So we've been hit hard. We're trying different fundraising efforts. I will have to come out with the greatest hits book, D. I'm the last on the list.
All right.
Well, they said they're going to hold off with me the longest because I'm the oldest. Well, I just have a lot more to go through than everybody. You know, I mean, I've been doing this longer than any of the other writers.
That's how I'd look at it too.
The youngsters at the Reader. They're all young writers at the Reader. They go, "Oh, Grandpa Ben." And anyway, Leor Galil. It's a great compilation, and I urge everybody to run and go out and buy it. We'll bring Leor on. We'll go through some of the stories. He got an interesting one about. We got a political one. D. My whole world comes together. Leor wrote about Andre Vasquez, the alderman of the 40th Ward, who is a former rapper, and he also wanted Galil. I want to talk to him about Chance the Rapper. Galil was one of the first writers to realize that there was a superstar emerging from Chicago, Chance the Rapper.
Hey, Ben, what's your favorite rap song?
My favorite rap song?
Yeah.
The one that we've been down this. Kanye. Everything I am makes me everything I'm not. Come on, D. We've talked about this. Don't you? Do you know that song?
No, I mean, I may know it, but based on that interpretation, I'm unaware of what that song is.
It starts off, he goes, "Come and drop the beat, and I got the deet." I don't know. We got to get it. I need some help.
Common dropped the beat, and I got the deet.
It was something. So it's like Common came up with this rap, and Kanye changed all the words, and it was really popular.
What a jerk!
I know. But it was like I really got into it. I used to listen to it all the time. Of course, that was like 5 years ago. I've forgotten everything. Everything I am makes me everything I'm not.
Well, Google that. Let's see if we can
it's
find
everything
out.
I'm not makes me everything. I don't. You know what? I'm gonna have to ask Leor about that one.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
And is Who Let the Dogs Out a rap?
Oh my God. No, please. You're embarrassing us.
Who let the dogs out? No, what is the other one? What was the like one of the first ones?
One of the first rap songs?
Yeah, from like way back in the day.
Like I think you're talking about. Well, there's two. I think I know you're talking about. Either the Rapper's Delight.
Yes, I love Rapper's Delight. How's that go?
Hip hop, hippie to the hip hop, and you don't stop. I'm rocking.
Yeah, man,
To the
I like
bang
that
bang
one.
boogie.
And then there's a song.
Walk This Way
Walk This Way is a Aerosmith song.
with Run DMC.
Yeah, okay. Look at me knowing all this stuff.
Yeah, way to go.
But
30 years old, mature.
There's the young one was on my bowling team, and he still play every Monday night. He would put on just one hip hop song after another. So I kind of got to know him a little bit, you know. And then I would forget. But there's one, locked up, can't get me out, locked up. You know that song?
No.
God, man, come on. You got to know your hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
Locked up. Boop, boop, boop. Anyway, I really don't know hip hop, folks. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we just learned that. Thanks for the honesty. We kind of figured.
So anyway, there's a Herbie Hancock song back from where I talk about this all. I can't. I'm not going to even try to do that. Back in 1983, I want to say. So anyway, that's Leor Galil coming on. Looking forward to that. Can't wait. But before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man they call Dr. Doobie, with the news.
Hey, guys. How's everybody doing? You guys getting used to wearing a mask yet? Well, you better. Be wearing those for a while. Before we find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois, let's go to the live stream chat here. Ben opened the show today talking about not his favorite trilogy, what we've learned Friday, but we've gone on to talk about trilogies on the live stream chat. I believe it was our good friend who said something about trilogies. I think it was, it wasn't Kyle. Oh, here we go. Jim. Jim says third movies never work. Jaws 3, Godfather 3, etc. And then Kyle weighed in and said, I don't know, Jim. RoboCop 3 did have a samurai robot. Samurai robot. That's pretty cool, right? That is pretty cool. Ben, can you think of any number threes of movies that aren't bad?
Aren't bad?
That are not bad.
Well, you could argue that Godfather 3 is not bad. We got to bring Adolfo on to talk about this. He's our expert, our resident expert.
We haven't had Adolfo on in a long time.
All right, Adolfo, we're bringing him on to talk the Godfather trilogy. But I know I'm with them. But they pretty much run out of steam. There was a couple of vacation movies. Do you ever see the vacation movies?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, I think... like number 3 might have been. Oh, Rocky 3 wasn't. I don't know. Rocky 3 was.
Rocky 3.
I'm just trying to. I'm mixing.
But those were movies that were like built for a sequel. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the movies, they're just like, oh man, this made a lot of money. Let's make another.
Yeah. No. Even Rocky 3. I can't even remember Rocky 3. Was Rocky 3 the one with "Living in America"? Was that Rocky 3?
I can't remember which one.
I remember the song. Shaft Goes to Africa.
That just sounds horrible.
Shaft Goes to Africa was, I think, his third. It was Shaft's big score in Shaft.
That's up there with Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah, I can't think of a. You know, this is a Sergio Mims segment, a whole Sergio Mims segment on. Has there ever been great third movies? But definitely on Friday, they had run out of steam after the second one, and they were just going on the fumes. Do you remember the premise of Friday, the third Friday one, D?
Security guards and Santa Claus. That's all I really remember.
Yeah, that's exactly. It was Christmas in L.A. They got a job as mall security guards.
That's funny. They're probably going up to him. Yeah, we're done with the Fridays. Oh, actually, we want to do last Friday. No, that Friday after next. That was the last Friday. We're done. No more. By the way,
I hear there's a fourth one coming out.
Last Friday? I would imagine that would be the title, right?
Could be. I hear there's a fourth one, but John Witherspoon won't be in it. Obviously, he passed on last year.
All right, live stream chat. What are the good number 3 movies? If you're listening on the download, feel free to weigh in as well. BennyJShow@gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J Show @gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on social media. Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show. Let us know if there is a good number 3 movie that we are forgetting about. Because
I can't think of any offhand.
I really can't.
Jaws
either.
3 was terrible.
Jaws 3 was terrible. The third Batman was probably the least of the 3 of that Christopher Nolan movie. I'm trying to think. Back to the Future 3 wasn't that great.
I didn't even know there was a Back to the Future.
Yeah, it was like
3.
Western themed. I heard like if you go back and watch it, it's better. But
Back to the Future 1 is one of the weirdest movies of all time. Just throwing that out there. Back to the Future, very weird movie. The guy goes back and his mother falls in love with him, and I don't know, kind of weird stuff going on in that movie. D. Just saying that there, I'm throwing that out there.
apparently, our live stream chat listener Pat Rod saw me driving. He weighed in, dude. I don't have a car, so it may have been some other balded, bearded fella. Let's see here. Oh no, it says, "Hey guys, I saw Dr. D driving north on LSD over the weekend, and he posted a picture of someone." Not me. It's their car and their license plate says Dr. D. That's what it is.
Someone stole your name.
See
Well,
it?
yeah, Dr. D. That's pretty funny, man. Yeah, the real Dr. D, who does not have a car, but he has a little license plate on his bicycle right next to the bell. And
Yeah,
it says,
translation, the real Dr. D is pathetic.
do you even have a bell on your bicycle?
No. I just go, hey, get out of my way. All right, let's find out what's happening in Chicago and/or Illinois this afternoon. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, after his first weekend off in over 60 days, the governor went back at it on Monday with his daily COVID-19 press briefings. Today's press briefing is at 2:30. And I guess old Jacket Buttons Pritzker is looking to switch it up. Maybe it's a sign of better days ahead, maybe not. But today's press briefing will be via video conference.
Yeah, well, that's because one of his trusted aides has the virus or tested positive
wow,
for it.
that's
and
not
so he's
good at all.
So, yeah, he's in lockdown at the Gold Coast mansion, which I'm not going to make any toilet jokes.
Please don't.
Okay, just not. Okay, it's inappropriate in this time of pandemic to refer to old toilet jokes, but that
Let's not forget about that time J.B. Pritzker saved over $300,000 in property taxes by removing his toilets in his mansion. Please don't bring that up.
I will not bring. How'd you remember the 300,000 part? That's really impressive. We talked about that a lot on the old show, and so yeah, he's on lockdown because one of his aides tested positive. And as Donald Trump, oh my goodness, this is something we'll be talking about with Monroe tomorrow a lot. Look out for that one. 2 people in the White House have tested positive. So Donald Trump's kind of on lockdown too. We'll see how much he bows to the protocols.
Whatever you do, don't bring up that time when all of us regular broke people were paying property taxes, spending all of our money. The billionaire guy saved $300,000. Don't bring that up.
I won't bring it up.
Thank you.
I think I did bring it up, though, but I won't bring it up again.
Don't
okay?
bring it up.
I'm just saying he was in that very mansion with the toilet, okay? He took the toilet out. He forgot to put it back. You can forget. Have you ever forgotten anything, D? Huh? Okay? He forgot to put the toilet in. All right.
And it looks like a couple of Illinois business owners were taking notes a couple of weeks back when the Illinois state rep out of Xenia, Illinois, future 2022 gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey, sued Governor Pritzker over his stay-at-home order. More people are suing Governor Pritzker. We're going to talk about that more in moments. But first, Ben, our former Illinois governor.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Our former
yeah.
Illinois governor came out of hiding over over the weekend. We do a show on Tuesdays. It's kind of hard to tell if it was on Monday or over the weekend. But yes, our former Illinois governor was back in the news.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Oh, God. Yeah. That's our old friend Bruce Rauner. Ugh.
NBC5's Marianne Ahern has the scoop, and lucky her, she was in a text message conversation with the, thank God, former Illinois governor, Bruce Rauner. Now, obviously, here she was talking with Bruce Rauner, and let's see here one sec. I got to look at our Bruce Rauner material here. All right, yeah, we have quotes from Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner.
But just quotes. We don't have audio on this.
I know,
correct?
that bum's been out every
Yeah.
time. Yo, D, man, we got audio? Nope, just me reading them. Sorry. That's how that goes. But people, we're playing the hits today, right? We're going back to some vintage Ben Joravsky show material. back when Ben wasn't fired and I had good health insurance, good times. We're going to make fun of Bruce Rauner like the old days here. Let's see here. So through text, former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner criticized the guy who politically beat the ever-loving hell out of him, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Pritzker's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's see here. He thinks Rauner thinks this is all in the Pritzker agenda. All right, all of this here. So let's read the quotes. Rauner said about Pritzker's handling of the coronavirus, quote,
I always love those Pritzker the Rauner imitations.
Keeping economy shut is a trifecta for Democrats. Justification for income tax hike in November. Justification for federal bailout of states, and a horrible economy for Trump's reelection. We've put this problem almost entirely on the backs of our children, who are virtually at no risk from this disease, trillions in debt, and they have to pay back. Lost jobs and internships, and loss of virtually an entire year of their education when you factor in summer loss and limited internet and enrichment opportunities.
All right, I don't even know where to begin with this. This proves this goes back to the Nancy Pelosi conversation. How you never expect a Republican to act in like a good faith, a partisan, nonpartisan effort. Here's Bruce Rauner weighing in from the sidelines, like anybody wants to hear what he has to say in the first place. First of all, what is the opening line? Justification for an income tax. Like. The income tax he's alluding to is the fair tax proposal that J.B. Pritzker wants the state to pass that would raise the rates on the highest earners like J.B. Pritzker, like Bruce Rauner, so that the rest of us don't have to pay the same rate they do, all right? That's something that the Republicans have been resisting for a long time. So what is he saying? Like, Pritzker is ordering everybody to stay at home because, I know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have everybody stay at home so that the state goes broke and people will pass the fair tax. Good idea, boss. Like, Pritzker came up with this notion. That's why Pritzker's at the Gold Coast Mansion, the one with the toilet D. That's why he's
Don't talk about it.
I'm sorry. That's why Pritzker's at the Gold Coast. He's really carrying it to the next extreme. It has nothing to do with the fact that one of Pritzker's aides got the virus, that people are dying of the virus, that hospital workers are freaking out because they're overwhelmed by patients with the virus, that everybody's freaking scared they're going to get the virus. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It was here's what we do. We'll all lock in our home, make everybody stay in their homes, put everybody out of a job, and then people will be so desperate to fund the state, they'll pass the income tax hike. What a dumb idea. You know what I'm saying, D? And by the way, various Republicans down through history, I'm thinking of Jim Edgar, have acknowledged that the system we have in Illinois, where everybody pays at the same rate, is a ridiculous system. And that the Republicans have used this as a political tool down through these years to keep people like the Democrats in check. So this is part of the reason why we have the financial crisis in the state of Illinois right now. It's because nobody is ever even remotely realistic about what it costs to finance government. And so we increase the obligations we have on government without increasing the funding of it because we're too afraid to deal with, taxing the wealthiest in this state. And it's in part because, a large degree, because of Republicans like Rauner who keep pushing this as an issue, and then you got Democrats like Madigan playing the game like, I'm not going to come out with a tax hike, not if Rauner's not going to do it. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, cautious Democrats and aggressive, obnoxious Republicans. What a lethal combination. So wait, what was the second point? Oh, children, no risk? What does he want, D? Does he want to just open up schools? Oh, just keep schools are open. They're maybe if they're not at risk, it's because they're not in school where they can catch the virus. Did you ever think of that? I mean, I don't know. Was he saying that he wants the schools open? Is that what he's saying? Or is he just talking smack on the sidelines? Because it's easy to talk smack. You know what I wish like they had that moment like in the I'm gonna give a political end to this. Don't worry, D. I'm gonna make a last dance.
Just don't talk about that Bulls thing.
Okay, but just there's a moments in the Last Dance.
Oh my God.
Where someone will trash Jordan in an interview, And then I know you haven't seen The Last Dance. One of the few people in my world who hasn't seen The Last Dance. And so then the filmmaker will cut to Jordan and show Jordan what the person is saying, and then Jordan gets to respond. So in The Last Dance, he always gets the last word. So wouldn't it be so funny, like if this worked in real way? JB Pritzker talks some trash about JB, and then they cut to JB. Well, he's actually nice. He's not like Jordan. Jordan goes through the throat. So yeah, but just the notion that he's going to open up the schools, that's his solution. He wouldn't have closed the schools. I don't know. I think even Republican governors have closed the schools in their state. You don't want kids getting this virus? Ridiculous.
Well, I think it's safe to say that if Governor Rauner were still the governor in 2020, we'd probably be right there with Georgia, right? Opening up or, not closing at all?
That is a great. Georgia was closed. First, Georgia was open. Then they closed. Then they opened. Now everybody's waiting to see what's happening.
We would have been one of those states, right, if Governor Rauner was still around?
I don't know. What would Rauner, God help us, what would Rauner have done if he would be doing the opposite thing? Somehow or other, he would turn this into a reason why we should just declare bankruptcy. See, that's the other point he made. We shouldn't seek a federal bailout. So we should just go bankrupt. That was Mitch McConnell's attitude. Bruce Rauner entertained the notion that Illinois go bankrupt, despite the fact that if you go bankrupt, you have to borrow. It costs a lot more to borrow money. Oh, now I know why he wanted to go bankrupt. Because his pals in the lending business.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Yeah, you mean yay for our bankers. Yay for the people that we're going to go to pay higher interest rates. So if there's no federal assistance, he's chastising Pritzker. He's like blaming Pritzker. Oh, here's the plan. They made up this virus so that they would shut down the economy, and then they would have to go to the feds to bail out the state. That's what they're up to. What is he saying? The virus is not real? I don't know, man. Thank goodness. I don't know what he would do if he was the governor. All I could say is, thank God he's not the governor. The guy couldn't pass a budget.
Yeah, and
he couldn't pass a budget because he hated unions so much.
I'm not sure what it'd be like if Rauner were governor with the COVID-19, but I do know that if he were governor under this, boy, all of us would be stone cold sober.
Oh, no liquor stores?
And weed!
Yeah.
No, have to buy it illegally.
Yeah. Oh, that was his big no. Remember? Oh, goodness. Nope, not going to do it. Went downstate. Remember that famous interview downstate? Nope, never going to do it. Never. Hickenlooper. Remember he talked about the governor of... They always throw out that poor governor of Colorado. He was against it. Even Peter Cunningham comes on the show and talks about, he was against it, Ben, first. But then the voters made him do it, and he came to see the light. They always throw that Democrat out, you poor guy.
So that was fun, wasn't it, Ben? A little throwback there, doing some Bruce Rauner
stuff.
If you close your eyes, it's almost like you're at WCPT 820, but then you open them and you go, oh, yeah, we're in the attic, and there's the damn brown line there chugging along.
Yeah. I got a feeling I'd be in this attic even if I hadn't been fired, by the way. Just saying.
All right, now about those folks suing Governor J.B. Pritzker for his 5-phase Restore Illinois strategy.
Let's begin with phase one.
I swear to God, J.B. Pritzker, if you keep trying to announce these phases, we did that last week. The following comes from the Illinois political bulldog, Shia Campos, in Illinois Politico. The attorney representing 2 Republican lawmakers in separate cases challenging Governor J.B. Pritzker's emergency powers has 3 new clients. This attorney's just rolling in the dough.
He is.
I just picture him with a pile of money on a bed, just throwing it up in the air, rolling around. But he has 3 new clients. These 3 new clients, a hair salon owner and a restaurateur with 2 establishments. Thomas DeVore, in the 5 cases, argues that the governor has neither constitutional nor statutory power to implement consecutive 30-day COVID-19 state of emergency orders. If the governor doesn't have that power, DeVore argues he cannot extend stay-at-home orders. DeVore also alleges that the Illinois Department of Public Health and local health departments, not the governor, have, quote, supreme authority to enforce stay-at-home and business closure orders, and the procedure outlined in law should therefore be followed. Pritzker on April 29th called the cases filed by Ben's favorite Republican representative, Darren Bailey of Xenia, and, a close second, John Cabello of McChesney Park. They called it irresponsible. We got a quote here from, let's see here. This is from DeVore. DeVore says, quote, "We're in the business here of keeping people safe and healthy. That's what the stay-at-home order has been about. And I just think Cabello's lawsuit is just this is Pritzker.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not
It's
the
Tuesday,
lawyer,
guys.
yeah.
I'm trying my hardest. That's what the stay-at-home order has been about. And I just think Cabello's lawsuit is just another attempt at grandstanding. DeVore, in an interview, disagreed with Pritzker's assessment. The suits, he said, aim to, quote, get what's right for residents of this state. I would respectfully say that this unilateral action as executive officer are irresponsible because that's not how these type of situations are to be handled." This is DeVore. He said it's irresponsible to suggest that a lone executive at any level of government, local, state, federal, wields that kind of power over people. All three of DeVore's most recent filings against the state are nearly identical. According to the documents, the establishment owners have, quote, "no doubts Pritzker will at some point come before a judge with reams of paper and a team of attorneys proclaiming that he was doing what was necessary to protect the people of the state." But that has absolutely no consequence whatsoever because the lawsuits allege that the governor does not have the authority to order businesses closed. That power rests with the Illinois Department of Public Health. Ben, your thoughts on all
Well,
this?
there was a great Rich Miller column, and I'm glad you raised this. And Rich Miller does an outstanding job. He's from Capital Facts, and he writes a weekly column for the Sun-Times that runs every Sunday.
He's the meanest Illinois political bulldog in the yard.
And the headline,
Whoa!
and the headline in this column is "Thinking about reopening early, insurance may not protect you." I'm just going to read the opening to. I hadn't thought about this until I read it on Sunday. And D, I thought I got to talk about this at the outset of the show, and I forgot about it. It was all that talk about Bill Maher, and I forgot to give Rich Miller his shout out. So Rich Miller wrote this: Governor J.B. Pritzker has repeatedly said he's delegating enforcement of his stay-at-home order to local governments. That stance has frustrated some folks who want him to get tougher with violators, and the governor's position seems to have emboldened some local officials to defy his executive order and open up their economies on their own. But when local governments refuse to enforce the governor's orders, it appears that trial lawyers may step in and insurance companies may take a walk. And so he goes on to talk about some of the counties in some of the areas in the state that have defied Pritzker's order. East Peoria's mayor. Do you know anything about East Peoria, D?
I have a friend who lives near Peoria. I'm not sure if it's east or west.
Yeah, but he said East Peoria. Utter ignorance. I do not know of East Peoria, so I've just got to say that I was not aware of East Peoria. My apologies to the people of East Peoria. I've been to Peoria. I know Peoria, but I don't know. Anyway, East Peoria.
Our West Peoria listeners are like, yeah, take it to East Peoria, those bastards.
East Peoria's mayor has gone beyond that, officially allowing the opening of several businesses in this city on May 1st that were ordered closed by the governor's executive order, including hair salons, spas, gyms, and indoor recreational facilities. On May 15th, bars and restaurants will be allowed to reopen at 50% capacity, and churches and theaters also will be allowed to reopen on that date. So there we go. The mayor of East Peoria, according to Rich Miller, is openly flaunting Governor Pritzker's declaration that the state shut down, and he's opening up the hair salons. He's allowing churches, restaurants to open up with some limitations, of course. So my point is, the executive order is not like written in stone. Local authorities have the right to defy it. So why is Darren Bailey going to court? Why doesn't he just talk to the leaders of Clay County? Hey, pretty good for knowing that, D. Clay County, that I remember that he was in Clay. Why not go to the leaders of Xenia and say, hey, Mayor, let's open up our little town. Let's open up the luncheonette. Let's open up the hair salon. Because obviously it's part of a larger political strategy by the Republicans, and Bruce Rauner's playing into it to try to rouse up their base, to make it seem as though that the Democrats are exceeding their authority without reason to what? Destroy the economy? To make Donald Trump look bad? To what? Get the federal government to raise taxes? I don't know. keep coming up with different theories all the time, but they want to present themselves as innocent victims as part of their need to present themselves as victims, even though they have more power than the Democrats. They present themselves as victims to sort of keep that base together on the eve of elections. It's got nothing to do, in this case, obviously, with Pritzker exceeding his authority. If folks down in Darren Bailey country wanted to defy Pritzker, according to Rich Miller, they have the right to do it right now. So why are you filing all these lawsuits? Games that people play, D. The games that people play.
Well, speaking of games that people play, Ben, for 10 trivia points, what is the population of East Peoria, Illinois?
Oh, you looked it up, or did someone tell you this?
I looked it up.
Well, since I never heard of it before.
And this is from a 2010 census, by the way. A little dated, but you can get a good idea of what the population is.
Well, that's the last census. All right, I would say it's 2,314.
2,314. Let me channel my inner Regis Philbin. Is that your final answer?
Don't I get a lifeline
No.
or something?
Final answer?
Can I call Mark Sims?
No.
All right, yes, 2,314.
Holy crap, you're wrong. It's the population, according to the 2010 census of East Peoria, 23,402.
I was right. I had the two part right.
Oh, yeah, the
I
two
had
part
the
right.
first two numbers right.
Yeah, the first two numbers. That works.
Hey, Regis, give me something for that.
Little East Peoria knowledge.
How
there.
could we not know about East Peoria? It has 23,000 people in it. Huh? You're my downstate go-to guy.
I'm more downstate than Peoria. All right, let's end it out with some city news here. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
You go, girl.
Oh, my God.
Today,
Lord.
Mayor Lightfoot is at Chicago Public Safety Headquarters to congratulate new firefighters at the Chicago Fire Department graduation ceremony. There's the brown line. Take a toke. The following
take the toes.
The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and the one and only Fran the Woman Spielman. By the way, if you haven't listened to the latest Fran Spielman podcast, you really should. Her latest guest, well, is a lady who will probably never be on our show anytime soon, based on this thing.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
In fact, I think every time we play that quote, a month goes on that we'll never have her on.
We'll never have her.
We're up to 20 months.
But, yeah. By the way, didn't you tell me in the our pre-show prep meeting? I love our pre-show prep meetings.
Yeah.
They're great, aren't they?
They're half-assed at best.
I treat Dennis. I serve him donuts, and there's coffee, and in the break room. We have a break room here in the attic. Anyway, did you tell me something about Pritzker and a haircut? Because just thinking of Lori, it's thought a haircut.
Oh, yeah, I got some Pritzker haircut news. All right, before we get to the Mayor Lightfoot news here, let's talk more about Pritzker's haircut. Apparently, Ben's just been dying to talk about this.
Pritzker's haircut.
The following comes from Illinois Politico. After more than 7 weeks under the stay-at-home order, everyone is looking at how to trim their hair. Reporters on Monday noticed that Governor J.B. Pritzker's locks looked spruced up and inquired. Now, J.B. Pritzker said he clipped at his sides and he, quote, asked his 15-year-old to give a little buzz on the back of my hair. And that's it. I haven't had a haircut other than that. That's the hair story you wanted me to read.
A little doubtful about that. First of all, I'm a little, irritated. I liked it remember when Haircut Gate erupted and Lori Lightfoot got in trouble because her haircut
looked good. It was worth it.
And then we opened our big, not Dennis. He was very good about it. I opened my big mouth and said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. Where it says, "What was your Uncle Alden's quote? Rules for thee, not for me."
Now, little Denny, it's rules for thee, not for me. That's what they're doing here.
Yeah, which is why I'm sure Lori Lightfoot would never, ever come on the show again. But when asked, I remember Pritzker had that great comment, well, I'm not getting my hair cut. I look like a hippie. I thought that was a pretty good line. And I was hoping he would just let it grow. You know what I mean? Just let it grow. We're all in this together, okay? And he would have a ponytail at one point. I was really looking forward to that. Pritzker with a ponytail, finding his inner 70s, you know what I'm saying? Maybe break out the bong every now and then, listen to little Steve Miller.
That'd be the worst governor ever after. I don't know why. I just really don't care about governing anymore. Well, yeah, he started smoking pot, and you got a ponytail.
And he's listening to old Steve Miller records. But I was disappointed that you told me that he got a haircut. And by the way, I'm not buying it because the hair looks pretty good. And this is one of my
kind of an insult to hairdressers out
well,
there,
this
right?
is,
my 15. Anybody can do it. A 15-year-old.
Anyway, and this is a sensitive thing to me. I'm married to a hairdresser. She's really good at what she does. And one of the fringe benefits is I am the only guy who can legitimately get haircuts during the pandemic. In fact,
that big shaggy mess you got on your head. You need that, huh?
I know. And every now and then I get a hair. Anyway, so but we watch a movie with a hairdresser. There's always a scene in a movie not always, but there's movies where the protagonist, for whatever reason, it's usually a girl, will decide she's going to cut off her hair. You know what I'm saying, Dave? This is like a standard scene in a movie. She cuts off her hair. And my wife will go, watch. It'll be a perfect haircut. And sure enough, like, the protagonist will look great. Like, somebody could just look in a mirror and cut their hair and it'll look great. Anyway, so I don't know, JB. I'm thinking you may have brought in the same hairdresser that Lori Lightfoot brought in. Just saying. Anyway, I had to get it out.
Toilet gate, I don't know, man. I'm with you. But this haircut thing, never. All right, let's talk about Mayor Lightfoot here. She's at the public safety headquarters to congratulate new firefighters at the Chicago Fire Department graduation ceremony. Let's read an article here from the one and only Fran the Woman Spielman. Fran Spielman's podcast. Mayor Lightfoot is the guest, so go check that out. The closest thing to having Lori Lightfoot on the Ben Joravsky show is Lori Lightfoot on the Fran Spielman podcast, so go check that out. I'm sure she has different questions than what we'd ask. Mayor Lightfoot said Monday that she had a, quote, very pleasant conversation with the pastor of an Albany Park church that defied the statewide stay-at-home order and hopes to educate them into compliance. That's a sentence. Avoiding mass arrests. She said, quote, we're not going to send in the police to arrest parishioners. People are exercising their faith, and I understand that. But it's a mistake to gather in large congregate settings, particularly if you have an underlying medical condition or you are otherwise in a vulnerable population. That's hopefully the dialogue that we'll be able to have with the pastor. Lightfoot has not hesitated to play the heavy during the pandemic. Ben, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. I better watch what I say. But I don't know. Our politicians, our leaders pick and choose when they're going to take a stand on who is violating the stay-at-home. And so...
Yeah, these people at the church, they're all old enough to vote. We're gonna, let them go around.
Well,
these kids that don't vote, I'm gonna harass them.
Well, there's this narrative again that the Republicans are putting out that they're victims and that the Democrats are intruding on their liberty, their First Amendment protected liberty to practice their religion by going to church. This is one of their favorite themes, and Democrats are really scared of being the heavy in this and looking like they're anti-religion. And so you're absolutely correct. So when a pastor of a church in Albany Park decides to blatantly defy the order of Pritzker and the order of Lightfoot not to have public services, they don't send in the police. They don't send anybody in because they don't want to look as though they're picking on religion. They don't want to play in it, and they're going to have respectful dialogues. Fast forward to some random teenagers playing basketball on a court. Lori Lightfoot shows up with the police chief, right? It's talking about infecting their mamas. Remember that one, Dave? We haven't played that one in a while.
Yeah.
And so it's not a respectful dialogue or exchange or conversation. It's go home now because you're a danger and a menace to society. Because obviously nobody's going to defend the kids playing basketball. You know what I mean? The Republicans aren't going to do a counterattack saying kids should have the right to play basketball. The Republicans don't like those kids at all.
The Lord is not on those kids' side, all right?
The Republicans, those kids don't feed into the Republican narrative at all. Some black kids playing basketball on a playground on the south side or the west side or wherever it was do not fit into any narrative that the Republicans have other than maybe, well, I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to really try to watch what I say. So it's just this political game that's being played, and Lori Lightfoot realizes that if she goes too far in trying to enforce her stay-at-home rules, that there'll be a counterattack from the Republican Party, that she's anti-religion, and so she respects that. But obviously, there's not going to be a counterattack to Lori Lightfoot going around telling kids to get off the court. And they shouldn't be playing basketball. Lori Lightfoot's absolutely correct. That's endangering the public health. There's a chance to spread the virus. She's absolutely correct. Just like people shouldn't gather outside. Oh, the Blue Angels are flying. All right, let's go outside and look. Everybody's gathering and looking. Well, I heard that you can't get the virus if you're looking at the Blue Angels. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just interesting. People pick and choose who they're going to get tough with in this virus. And again, that's the Republican Party. They get the Democrats. They're in the heads of the Democrats. You know what I'm saying, D? So they're pretty good at that. They get into the heads of the Democrats, and the Dems are afraid to take any kind of stand.
Oh, Mayor Lightfoot would like to weigh in.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
Okay, we get it.
Well, they're not taking any pastors to jail. That would look really bad. Donald Trump would tweet it out. There'd be like a million lawsuits. Darren Bailey would be, I told you. And then Bruce Rauner would weigh in, they're against religion.
So once again, throwing pastors into jail, really bad. Throwing just regular people like you and me who really didn't do anything to jail, that's cool.
Well, the Republicans don't care about you or me. No. Suddenly Donald, can you imagine if they threw us in jail? And then Donald Trump tweeting out, I really like the Ben Joravsky show.
So there you are. That's the local news, guys. Coming up, we're going to be talking to Leor Galil. This guy knows so much about music, and it's one of my favorite things on the Ben Joravsky show when Ben talks to Leor Galil, because Ben's pretty much clueless when we talk about any music after the year 1979. Guys, you don't want to go anywhere. It's going to be a fantastic interview. Leor Galil is a very knowledgeable man. More coming up. It's the Ben Joravsky show. We are live from Ben's attic, and please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us on email, bennyjshow@gmail.com, BENNY, the letter J show, at gmail.com. Benny J Show on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Ben, how's our Instagram account doing?
Booming. I posted a photo the other day, D. I realized I hadn't posted in a while. So I took this picture of myself with a bottle of Irish whiskey. You like Irish whiskey, D?
Yeah.
I like Irish whiskey. And so I took a picture of myself with a bottle of Irish whiskey and my mask. I was wearing my face mask.
There's nothing going on these days, huh?
And I like Irish whiskey. A lot of people weighed in. They like Irish whiskey. So.
And you can send us a voicemail. That's right. We have a phone number. Last week, Mitch McConnell called us. Who knows who's going to call us this week? 708-658-4788. The number again, 708-658-4788. Leave a voicemail to the Ben Joravsky Show. We dare you. All right, coming up after the break, it's Leor Galil. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. And yes, we are live from Ben's attic.
So come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, yeah, come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, let's keep everybody safe and stay home, Chicago. Right, Stubbs? Yeah. 'Cause 2 doubles to 4 and 3 doubles to 6. Before you even know it, you made everybody sick. So come on, baby, you don't need to go. Oh no, let's keep everybody safe and stay home, Chicago. Please.
Oh, that was depressing, huh? Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from Ben's attic.
Leor Galil with me. Leor Galil, music writer for the Chicago Reader. Staying safe and sound, right, Leor?
I hope so.
All right. How's that? How's the quality of this one?
Well, he just said 3 words, so let's keep going, and then I'll let you know.
All right, Leor is on because the reader just came out with his greatest hits. Leor, you're too young to have a greatest hits, but you already have you're the first one out with the greatest hits.
Well, my question to that is, how old do you think I am?
Well, you're a lot younger than I am, so we'll just leave it at that. By the way, before, when we were introducing you, I said that you're coming on, you're going to talk about your greatest hits. We're also going to talk about summer festivals and the ones that have been, well, everything's been canceled, but for some reason, Lollapalooza has not officially been canceled. We'll talk about that, the impact of the virus on the summer festivals. And then Dennis, of course, he started teasing me, Leor. Can you believe this? I got to put up with this stuff because I don't know any music after 1979. And he goes, Leor Galil's an expert on hip-hop. Ben, what's your favorite hip-hop song? And so, the one I always cite, which I don't know if you remember.
Rappers.
No, well, yeah, that one, Rappers.
The first rap song, basically.
But there's a Kanye West song that for some reason, I don't know how it filtered through the blockade I have around my head that keeps new music out. Everything I Am I think it's called Everything I Am. I couldn't remember the words, typical me. And he doubted it. He didn't even know the song. But you know that song, don't you?
So my big secret is that I'm not much of a Kanye person, period. Like, I've seen him several times, and I've listened to a lot of his albums, but I can't tell you the names of most of his songs. And my favorite album of his is the one that I think most people write off, which is 808s and Heartbreak, which is where he barely raps.
Wow.
Yeah, that album, like, you go back and listen to it, like, it's really not that great. Like, at the time, I think it was kind of cool, like with the auto tune. That's when it was like really, But you go back and listen to it now, it's like
I think it aged a lot better than some of his other material, and it was kind of prophetic in the way that auto-tune would be used by rappers. And in the coming years, like, a lot of rappers have taken more to this rap singing style that he employed on that album.
Well, I'm just going to defend myself and say there is a song. It's called "Everything I Am." It's by Kanye West. I'm not making this up. I'm not completely delusional. I'm not a raving lunatic in my attic. Okay, maybe I am, but it's not reflected in this particular case. It's Everything I Am, and it starts, Common passed on this beat. I made it to a jam. Everything I'm not made me everything I am. I swear to God, I did not make this up. There is a Kanye West song that goes that way, and I hope there's somebody out there in the world.
I'm looking it up now.
Okay, yeah, because nobody believes me. Oh, yeah.
The song's called Everything I Am.
I believe it's called Everything I Am.
That's what it's called.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go. Common passed on this beat, and I made it into to a jam. All right, Kanye West. All right, Leor, first of all, let's talk about the greatest hits. No. Let's, before we get to the greatest hits, he's got that just dropped yesterday, I want to say. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of the virus on the summer festivals. We'll get into the greatest hits in a little while. You were telling me some interesting things yesterday when we were talking about this. Everything has been canceled, is that correct, except for Lolla?
Almost everything has been canceled. Lollapalooza has not officially announced anything. And from what I understand, it's because there are a lot of behind-the-scenes mechanics that have to be dealt with before officially announcing a cancellation of an event that hosts nearly 200 actors of its staff because of the amount of money that they've lost on this, major event in Austin. And they had insurance, but insurance covered shootings. I think it covered like some disasters, but it didn't cover a virus. So, and since COVID really hit the U.S., a lot of insurance companies seem to be dialing back their coverage of virus-related cancellations. So I'm genuinely curious what the behind-the-scenes mechanics at C3 Presents, which puts on Lollapalooza, must be like for an event of that size. But I can't imagine a world in which they would be transparent about any of that. But considering that Lollapalooza books a lot of acts that are on the road, that are their summer plans are touring the country, and those tours take them to Chicago for Lollapalooza specifically. None of those tours are happening. So the ability that, we don't live in a universe where if there was a cure tomorrow, they could relaunch that festival. Most of the performers don't have the wherewithal to be able to get there. Although this is all conjecture. There was no lineup announcement, so who knows? I can't tell you who they had selected that could feasibly get on a plane tomorrow and arrive in Chicago in time for Lollapalooza. But they're just the machine that goes into putting on that event is so large that I don't really know what kind of legal hole they must be in where they cannot announce this. And I don't know what kind of legal agreements they've made with the city, where the city's like they will make this call before we do, because every major event has been canceled.
Well, the one that you said today, wouldn't briefly, has not officially been canceled. Didn't you tell me Riot Fest was not canceled?
Yeah, Riot Fest is in September. I don't, even though the city has said that any large events shouldn't happen, that seems far enough in the future where they haven't been pressed to make a decision one way or another. But again, I think I can't imagine that actually will happen. It just seems illogical. Until there's a cure, it doesn't seem like there are going to be major festivals.
I cannot imagine a major festival at this point in time.
Especially one called Riot Fest.
Yeah. I just cannot even imagine I'm so locked into the COVID mindset. People walking down the street, I immediately go an opposite direction to avoid the social contact. You know what I'm saying, Leor? I'm just so, here we are in the attic. I'm just so locked into what life has been like for the last 2 months. I cannot possibly imagine a scene like Lollapalooza. And I don't know how long it'll be before we get that.
Yeah, that's 100,000 people crammed in a Grand Park, and you really are crammed into there. Just the thought of using a porta potty, of using the same porta potty that everyone else has access to, there's no way to do that in a way that is in a way that would make people comfortable during a pandemic. Until there's a cure, that just seems like a huge health risk. There are water fountains where there are these huge troughs where people get water so that they don't pass out in the sun, because this takes place at the end of July and early August. That is a public health hazard when there is a pandemic or when there's a virus like this. The entire infrastructure just doesn't make sense in our current environment. Packing people into a space, outdoors or indoors, just isn't wise. So why do it?
Yeah, and it's going to be a while before it is. All right, let's move on to Leor Galil's greatest hits. You're the first one out of the box. First of all, tell people how they can get a copy of it, and then we'll talk about some of the stories that are in it. So tell people how they can get a copy of Leor Galil's greatest hits.
Sure. There's a post on the Chicago Reader webpage that includes a link to the Act Blue website where you can purchase a copy. You can purchase a physical copy or just a PDF. Both come with the PDF, which you can download immediately. The physical copies will be printed next week, and then we'll take a couple of weeks at least to ship to people. But yeah, go to the Chicago Reader website, and it's available to purchase right now.
And talk about the selection process. I'm sort of fretting what I have to go through, and I've been delaying it. You're first out of the box. Talk about the selection process.
It was challenging because I generally tell people that I treat every feature that I'm working on like it is my favorite story, because that is how I feel about it. I want to be excited about what I'm working on, and I'm fortunate enough that I'm the person who generally comes up with my own story ideas and develops them, and so I am excited, and the stories that I do work on I love. So I've been contributing to the paper for a decade. That's a lot of material to go through. But I knew that I wanted to have some sort of like breadth of genre and breadth of characters to show just kind of like how wide my just how far and I've kind of gone in my reporting on Chicago music and all the little niches that I've kind of observed in the past 10 years. It's not confined to a single community or a single category of music. and also to show that there are ways that all of these, seemingly disparate characters and communities are interrelated, in part because they exist in this, in this fascinating city that we live in.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about the one that's probably most appropriate for this show. It's a political talk show, and then I'm going to talk. That has to do with Andre Vasquez, who's an alderman of the 40th ward, and I'm going to talk about, ask you about the Chance the Rapper, sort of the like the first story about Chance that's introduced this budding superstar, at least to readers. And then I'm going to put you on the hot seat and ask you for which one is your favorite. I'm not going to let you duck and dodge like you were the mayor of the city of Chicago or the governor of Illinois. All right, we're going to put you on the hot seat.
I got to go.
All right, yeah. Ben, the phone's ringing. Sorry. So let's start with the Andre Vasquez story. I remember when you wrote the story. Fascinating story. Andre Vasquez, the alderman of the 40th ward. He had a previous life before he decided to go into politics and run for alderman. And it came back to almost haunt him in his race against Alderman Patrick O'Connor, 2019. Talk about it. Andre Vasquez's previous life and his current one.
Yeah, Andre was a battle rapper. Like, he came up in a Chicago scene that had a national renown for freestyle rappers. There used to be this event in Cincinnati called Scribble Jam, which was like this huge freestyle battle rap competition, and Chicago supplied two champions, Juice and Rhymefest. Rhymefest, who battled Eminem at Scribble Jam. I believe you wrote about that at some point, right, Ben?
Yes, believe it. I did write about it. It's all ancient history. I wrote about it. Yeah, but anyway, we'll not discuss that one.
You know about music after 1979. But all this is to say that Andre, performing under the name Prime, came out of that world that is so specific to Chicago, where there were just where battle rapping was like a definitive skill that you had to think and you had to react to what's going on around you. And it's nasty and heteronormative. And Andre, since this, I think even before getting into politics, knew that there was, a lot of toxic aspects to this. But I wanted to contextualize this culture to a public that, that I knew didn't necessarily see any of this as anything but a negative, because the experiences of being a participant in a community are so important, I think, to somebody who wants to see political office. Because you have to navigate what it means to rely on other people and what it means to be a participant in something that requires other people there, and that grows because of the collaborations you do with other people. And Andre certainly encountered that in his time in the hip hop scene. And I wanted to show that. I wanted to show how I think critical it is to his growth and his development. And I think his growth since then also relies on the best parts of being in that community, because it wasn't all terrible toxic language. It was a lot more than that, and I knew that, and he knew that. His opponent would take advantage of that and take some of the things that he said on record or during battles where you're supposed to say the most vile things about your opponent out of context, and suggest that that's what he thinks as a human being, and that's not the case. Sorry.
Did you know Andre before he ran for office? Did you know him back in the day when he was a battle rapper, freestyle rapper?
No, I mean, I moved to Chicago around the time that he was winding his career down, but I've come across his music in my years of living in Chicago and in writing about the hip hop scene. He was part of Molman, which is one of the most important hip hop collectives in Chicago history. And I'd find Prime records on eBay when I'd be scouring eBay to kind of dredge up something that I might have missed in the past. So he was always a present, but I didn't put his stage name with him, the person, until until I started writing a story about Sharkula early last year. And Sharkula ended up in a hospital when Andre was there with one of his kids. And Andre took a photo and posted it on Instagram saying, like, we need to care for our neighbors. And I was like, what's going on with this? And I noticed that he was running for alderman and kind of started to piece everything together and realized that this would be a really interesting profile.
It was a very interesting profile. And let's talk a little bit about the attempt by Patrick O'Connor to use Andre's pass to undercut him. So let me just position this a little bit. The 40th Ward is on the north side of Chicago, a little west of Western Avenue. Everything's so gerrymandered in the city of Chicago. Patrick O'Connor was alderman going back to 1983. He was the floor leader for Mayor Daley. He was the floor leader for Rahm Emanuel. In my humble opinion, this is me speaking, not Leor. He should have been voted out of office because he was the one who shoved the parking meter deal down everybody's throats, or at least try to twist the arms of aldermen into supporting it when he was the floor leader for Mayor Daley. That in itself should have encourage voters in the 40th Ward to defeat him. He somehow or other was reelected again, despite the parking meter deal. 2019, Andre runs against him, and it's a crowded primary, and it gets to a runoff. No one gets more than 50% of the vote, and you knew it was coming. Patrick O'Connor, trying to hang on to his political career, dug up these lyrics from Andre's pass, and I think he put him on a flyer. Am I right about that? Didn't he put him on flyers?
He didn't put him on a flyer. He put them on tons of mail outs. You know, he had packs that were sending like mounds of mailers with this, you know, horrible language that Andre, even before this started, publicly apologized for, and went out of his way to kind of meet with members of, you know, the LGBTQ community to say like, hey, you're going to hear stuff like this. That is not how I feel. And yeah, it was interesting to see just how intense this attack campaign got. Chicago Magazine published a story about like essentially the pounds of mailers that would appear in apartment buildings that people were just like, this is disgusting to me. It's you know, I saw a few quotes of people saying this is worse than the intention, than the original thing that's being quoted, because that was for a specific audience and for a specific context, and this is shoving it in our faces in a way that is gross and demeaning. And you know, Pat O'Connor was also playing on a lot of racist tropes about hip hop, and specifically, you know, a culture that was made by people of color, and that is used time and again to put people of color through the ringer, and all of that is just, it's gross, to put things simply.
Yeah, and so anyway, it backfired, as you're pointing out. People started getting mad at Patrick O'Connor. I think there was this debate, it was a debate where I can't remember if you wrote about it in your story, but Patrick O'Connor was actually reading some of the offensive quotes from Andre's past, and it really looked bad. You know what I mean? For him to be reading it.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, a lot of that, yeah, it did surface some terrible language, but I think it backfired in ways that he didn't predict. And the fact that, you know, I think the fact that it opened the door for Andre to have a much larger platform to apologize and to be like, yeah, I don't like that any more than you do. Mm-hmm. And you know, it made the tactics beyond questionable.
So it worked against Patrick O'Connor, and the voters of the 40th Ward, I'm happy to say, came to their senses on this one, and they elected Andre Vasquez. And then to show you how far removed he is from, at least from his rap past, he sponsored this sing-along event. I don't know if you know this. He sponsored a sing-along. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I forget when it was. We were all staying at home, and the song he chose to sing along to was not a rap song, but was "Lean on Me," which is a song from my generation. Okay, he went back to pre-Ben Joravsky 79 days. "Lean on Me" by Bill Withers. So I was like, all right, Andre, showing me a little something there. So that's.
Bill did just.
Yes, he did. He just passed.
Yeah.
Did, and. sad day in my household when Bill Withers died. All right, Andre Vasquez, it's one of the greatest hits, runs for alderman. And the other one of the other great hits in Leor Galil's collection has to do with Chance the Rapper, a 2013 story you wrote about Chance the Rapper. Talk a little bit about that. This is before he, of course, was a superstar, before he was on Saturday Night Live and with his own TV show Punk'd and national commercials at the Super Bowl and so forth. And how did you find out about Chance the Rapper? How did you connect with him?
I mean, he's a star. He was a star locally even before he dropped his first mixtape. He dropped his first mixtape in 2012, and he sold out Lincoln Hall. And I was there for that show. I interviewed him for the first time in late 2011 for a profile on some of his on a couple other rappers who were, childhood. One of whom was childhood friends with him. They had formed a collective called The Village, and they were part of a young hip hop scene that was just starting to bubble up. And this is before most of these acts really started to break out nationally. The only group out of this that had any kind of national presence was Kids These Days, which is from the Save Money Collective, which also included Chance, and they had played Lollapalooza. They had some late night exposure, but it was still a fairly localized phenomenon, and a phenomenon that was largely followed by kids who were in high school. By profiling The Village, I reached out to Chance and first interviewed him then, and since then had been following his progress as a rapper and as a writer. And I'd interviewed him again in the fall of 2012 because he was headlining Metro for essentially a pre-acid rap event. I think initially they had planned to drop acid rap that fall, but instead just had only a single out at that point. But yeah, it seemed obvious to me that this guy was different and had this hard to pin down star quality. And I was touched by a lot of the material that he had put out. His first mixtape was pretty raw in a lot of spots, but there was something unique about it that I kept following. So it was just a matter of continuing to write about him. I think I was just doing my job and following one of many musicians in the community that was interesting.
And then there was a line where you wrote your story, the story that's in the anthology, The Greatest Hits of Leor Galil. You wrote the Chance the Rapper story about acid rap, and then what? He changed the lyrics of one of his songs on there to reflect the fact that you wrote about it?
Yeah, so the issue that included acid rap on the acid rap feature on the cover of the B side came out on a Thursday. I think acid rap came out like 6 days later. And yeah, he re-recorded a verse on the second track, Push a Man, to reference the Reader story and also a story in Red Eye that my buddy Ernest Wilkins wrote on Chance like a day or two later. That was his other big cover story that week. So yeah, he'd really kind of hit every newspaper in town by the time that acid rap came out, which is really cool. I remember sitting at my desk at the Reader offices, which were then in the Sun-Times building, the previous Sun-Times building, not the oldest Sun-Times building, and hearing a track that I already heard, but noticing that very subtle change and going, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's in the anthology as well. All right, so here comes that moment. No more ducking and dodging. No more running out the door. Hey, Leor Galil, your favorite story in the anthology?
I think I hear my mom calling. I got to run. Yeah, that's so tough. But I think I'll go with the story that I lead the collection with, which is a piece on Willis Earl Beal, who is a musician that I found a flyer that he left in Myopic Books. That it was a drawing of a slender black figure that turned out to be him, and there were just a few sentences on it, and I believe it said, "I'm looking for friends and stuff. I am not a weasel," and included his name and a phone number. And I called and didn't get through. I have an out-of-state area code, and I realized later that I was calling his grandmother's landline. He was living at his grandmother's place on the far south side. And I looked him up online, and one of the few things that I found about him was a link to a personal blog post by somebody who lived in Albuquerque who had uploaded a bunch of songs that Willis had self-recorded with sound instruments on a Radio Shack karaoke machine. And they're so shambolic and loose, but really vivid and imaginative. And it really took hold of me. It was so striking. And I just knew that I wanted to reach out to the person who had made them, because it felt like he had reached out and touched me in this way that I couldn't really explain, still kind of struggle to explain. And I knew that I wanted to introduce that music to other people. So eventually I did get a hold of him, and we met and talked a few times. And I wrote this story, and after it came out, within a week, somebody from XL Records, which is Adele's label, which put out like Vampire Weekend and put out a couple Radiohead albums, or I think maybe just In Rainbows by Radiohead. Basically the largest indie label in the world reached out and signed him based on my article.
Not bad.
And yeah, he put out a couple records, he did a tour opening for Cat Power, who also appeared on one of his records. And he starred in a movie called Memphis, which included some of his music, and he's since left the deal with XL and has been making really fascinating, challenging synth-based music. And yeah, he's a remarkable person.
Well, I think we may have lost Leor there. Oh no, there he's back. Yeah, we lost you for just a moment. Moment, Leor.
Yeah, Sharkula was actually.
All right, Leor, one last time before we let you go, tell folks where they can get your greatest hits.
Go to the Chicago Reader's website. There's a link to the Act Blue listing, and you can purchase it right now and start reading it right now.
Well, it looks really great, and you're the first out. So I guess this just means one more week before getting closer when I have to do mine. So I'm going to have to go through it one more time. Leor Galil, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. You take care. Stay safe.
Yeah,
all right?
Thanks for having me.
Take care. That's a great Leor Galil. I love that Andre Vasquez article that he wrote, because he defended he didn't defend just Andre Vasquez. He just defended rap music, hip hop music. He just went after.
Well, the live stream listeners were hoping to hear a freestyle rap out of that interview, but I guess we're not going to get that, huh, Ben?
Well, I did. Kanye. It's apparently nobody knows that, so I'm the only guy in the world who's ever heard of everything I am.
There we go. Yeah.
Common passed on this beat, and I made it to a jam. I believe that's the opening line.
Just
Don't
hearing
quote
you
me.
quote that. Do it one more time. Quote the song.
Common passed on this beat. I made it to a jam, and then it goes do 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 do.
This doesn't sound the
Everything
same
I'm
when an
not
old
made me-
white guy recites it. I don't know what it is.
Hey man, Kanye likes old white guys. Remember in the White House with Donald Trump?
Yeah.
He's wearing the MAGA hat.
He
He loves old white guys.
Trump loves that song too.
The dude Trump doing.
Give Common the beat. Hey, speaking of you being old, the live stream chat's having a good time talking about your age.
Oh, yeah, I'm an old guy.
It's good
man.
times. You're not that old, really, if you really,
Well, if you compare it to like a redwood tree, no. But they've been around for how many years? But my music is the 70s. I'm a 70s guy, and
You're
so
old.
what
Okay,
can I
now
say?
Brianna, she had a great comment on the live stream chat.
no.
She says, Benny J is so old that his social security number is 1.
So, Brianna will be at Zany's this weekend. Get your live.
And then more people called you an old bastard. But listen, we got to talk about some updates here.
All right.
Hey, have you guys ever noticed that since you've been quarantined, you'll go to order something on Grubhub, and typically a meal that would cost you $7 costs $30? Yeah. Have you noticed that? Yeah, that happened to me the one time I did Grubhub. By the way, the last time I do Grubhub, my broke ass isn't doing that anymore. Well, the following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times, and holy cow, won't stop because she can't stop. Fran the Woman Spielman. She says Chicago food delivery services will be required to come clean about third-party delivery costs under new rules championed by Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to arm consumers with the information that they need to vote with their wallets. We have a quote from Lightfoot. Lightfoot said, quote, "We just had a delivery at my house last night, and there was very little transparency around where the different charges were going to fall and who was going to be bearing them." Well, thank God that she did delivery last night, because now we're going to get on the case. Ben Joravsky, have you experienced this?
No, because I don't use third-party deliveries. I didn't even know what Grubhub was, and then someone had to explain it to me. So, but I'm with you, Lori, 100%. I go to the restaurant myself. This is something weird about me, D. I actually go to the restaurant, got my little mask on. I chat with the person at the front. You know, I get the food directly, give the tip to the person who gives me the food, so it's not like being passed to a third party. So that's just how I do it. In fact, just got this Saturday, went to a Chinese restaurant. Delicious.
Guys, I just put a gold star sticker on Ben's shirt. Way to go, Ben.
Yeah, I don't do, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's either in the neighborhood, I can walk to it, or so I'm lucky I have a car, I could drive to it. In the old days, I'd ride my bike to it. But no, I'm not into that. And I'm glad Lori's cracking down on them, because, yeah, it's gouging people.
So there you go, guys. Lori's looking out for you on that Grubhub delivery fee, but for the love of God, don't you dare go outside.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
All right, but you can go to church. All right, D?
Yeah,
That's
church.
great.
But not church's chicken, just church.
That was Friday's show, wasn't it? You're asking me for my favorite church? I go, I thought you meant Church's Chicken. My favorite one on Dodge and Dempster in Evanston.
And hey, Doggerson, I'm glad you've joined the live stream chat again. Hopefully you don't be a stranger and keep on coming. Thanks to everybody on the live stream chat. All of you are awesome. If you missed any of today's show, don't worry. You can go download it. Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Reader websites, and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. And speaking of the download, we have an interview that we're going to be posting at about 7 o'clock tonight. If Dennis does his job right, 7 o'clock tonight, we'll find out. Ben, we're going to be talking with our good friend Lenny Mana-Hoppenworth, and who's going to be joining
Heather
Lenny?
Booth, the legendary Heather Booth, a political activist, goes back to the SDS days. She was one of the activists who went down to Mississippi to register voters back in 1964, Freedom Summer, and she's a union activist and a political activist. She's now based in Washington. We're doing, obviously, everything's on phone these days. She was in Chicago. She worked in the Harold Washington administration, and we're going to be talking about some of the challenges that the Democrats are facing trying to elect Joe Biden. So Heather Booth talking about then and now, activism in this country, and I'm really looking forward to it. Heather Booth's an old friend of mine from way back when in the 1980s.
Live streamers, we're putting you to work, all right? You can only hear this interview through download, all right? Chicago.suntimes.com, chicagoreader.com, or wherever else you download your favorite podcast. That's the bread and butter of the Ben Joravsky Show, really. We love live streaming for you guys. We like the live effect of a radio show, but we really encourage you to go download other programs of the Ben Joravsky Show. Catch up on anything you missed. Our weekend Benny J bonus interviews, I edited out me and Ben saying M or F for like 8 times, so don't listen for that. Just listen to Miles Camp Lassen, Kelly Cassidy, and gardening guru Mike Novak. All right, that's our weekend bonus interviews. We're going to be having some this weekend as well. So go download those interviews, everybody.
That's correct. All right, very good job, Leor Galil. Thank you so much for being on the show. And, of course, couldn't have done it without the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, back home in Alton, as Chance the Rapper, Common, and Leor Galil all know, and Andre Vasquez knows. They call him White Lightning. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everyone.
All right, now let's hear that freestyle, Ben.
Everything I am made me everything I'm not. Or wait, I got it reversed. Dyslexia.
All right, that was horrible. And remember, guys, download those Benny J bonus interviews and our previous shows at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Let's begin with phase one. That's correct.
We will shut you down.
So come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, yeah, come on, baby, you don't need to go. No, let's keep everybody safe and stay home, Chicago. Right, Stubbs? Yeah.